get into it, brother. I want to know right off the bat, how do you compare Kenya to the United States as a black American living over there?
Wow. It's really you can't really compare. But what I like to say is I call Nairobi because I've been to like 10 other countries in Africa. I like to call Nairobi Africa light, meaning for an American who's never been to the continent, it's very easy to kind of land here and like get your bearings and enjoy it because everything works here. The electricity's on all the time. We've got great Wi-Fi and cellular service. The dopest restaurants, clubs, bars, hotels. You feel like you're in Europe or anywhere in the States. The people are unfreaking believable, very hospitable. And it just makes it really easy to land here and start running. You don't have to land and start crawling. You can actually land here and start running.
Yeah, I heard great
People are
things
so
about
cool.
Nairobi. Continue, sir.
Yeah, no. It's to me, it's my I've been blessed to live and travel damn near to at least 35 states in the US, maybe 40. And I've been to all the Caribbean islands and all over Mexico and South America and Europe and all that kind of stuff. To me, Nairobi's the best place in the world to live, like by far. I wouldn't, hands down, best place in the world to live, as especially as a brother, you know, because it's just you just feel free.
Yeah,
And we can get into that deeper side, that
yeah,
thing that we talked about
yeah. We're
when,
gonna get in there a little deeper for sure.
yeah,
We're definitely gonna go in a little bit. You know, people misconstrue Africa a lot, and especially a place like Kenya. You see
right.
the advertisements on TV and everything, but you describe a different situation over there, and I wanted you to describe the affordability of having like a maid, cook, a driver, and
Mhm.
overall lifestyle and infrastructure
Right.
over in Kenya.
Well, one of the best things that I love about Nairobi is that it's the quality of life is I came from New York. I was living in Harlem. We had a beautiful brownstone, and we were doing well. Um, but literally coming from Harlem and then coming to Nairobi, it really wasn't a big change. Other than us, I've never lived in the suburbs before, so I've never had like a front yard, side yards, and backyards. Never had a pool before, and was able to get that here. And the thing that makes the quality of life so dope here is that the standard of living is really freaking nice. So they've got beautiful homes with pools and modern and just really nice. The house, you could pick the house up and put it anywhere in the world and it would stand out. They have beautiful homes here.
Well,
Um,
go ahead,
but the thing
continue.
that makes it dope is that inside that house, you can have a cook, you can have a couple cooks if you want, someone to clean and take care of all your stuff, and a gardener, somebody to walk your dog. Like you can do all that stuff, and it's not that expensive. That part, Nairobi is an expensive city. I like to say it's kind of like maybe Charlotte. Not it's not New York, it's not DC, it's not LA, it's not San Francisco, but it's kind of like a Charlotte. Charlotte might be a little cheaper than Atlanta. So just to give people, or maybe Philly, my hometown. I got to give a shout out to Philly. Have to get that in there. But the state, the economy, the standard of living is kind of like a Philly in regards to the cost of living. But you can pay someone to cook and clean for you, every day, anywhere in between. If you want to be a cheap ass, $200. If you want to pay them a little more, 300, a month. Shoot, we were paying 7 years ago our nanny in New York $400 a week to only work 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, you know. So, imagine you're in your home Before you go up for the evening, someone says, "How would you like your eggs cooked tomorrow? How do you like your oatmeal tomorrow? What do you plan on drinking? And when would you like to have that waiting for you at your table when you come downstairs?" Like, that's good living. you know, and it doesn't cost a lot. You can have a driver, pay a driver anywhere between 200-300 bucks, maybe 350 at the most, depending upon how many days a week, if he's doing 7 days a week or just 5 days a week, to drive you around everywhere. So you can sit back left. That's what I like to call it, back left, on your phone, working while you're stuck in traffic. And you don't have to drive anywhere. And imagine if you were living in New York or LA or Chicago and you had a freaking driver that you paid $300 to a month. Everybody would have freaking drivers.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
you know,
Yeah.
and you don't realize how much stress and pressure, cooking, cleaning, driving, all that stuff, getting your clothes, ironed and all that kind of stuff, everything, your linen changed, all that, how much stress that actually takes off your life and your day. You know, it's you can't even count it. You know,
It sounds amazing over there. Just in terms of the business opportunities, because the bet out of that show is really geared towards investing. And
hmm
so, I'm really trying to teach our kids about investing and investing not only in the stock market but in life and in themselves. And I wanted you to describe some of the business opportunities over there in Kenya. How difficult is it to do business over there?
Well, I'll say this. It's just like I said, it's an easy landing here. Starting companies, no matter what you do. I don't care if you're own a McDonald's franchise, or if you have a hair care line, or if you're a barber, or if you do nails, or if you're an attorney, doctor, cosmetic surgeon. I have two good friends that are cosmetic surgeons in the States, that are very interested in coming here. No matter what line of work you're in, no matter what you do, there's a place for you, I personally think, here in Kenya. Um, and it's fairly easy to, get the paperwork and get things to happen here. And if anyone is interested, we'll leave my contact information. And but anything you do, I don't care if you're a consultant or whatever, or if you have a franchise and you want to bring it here, it's open. It's literally like the way white folks felt when they headed west in the States. It was like everybody was going crazy looking for gold. You know, in Nairobi, Kenya is a really fast growing economy. They have a very large middle class, and it's growing fast. If you drive around, or if you go on Google Earth and move around and check it out, you'll see that there's tons of construction going on. We're just building a brand new super highway, that's going to cut down the traffic here. That's one of the things I hate here, but everyone hates it, is the traffic. It's freaking crazy.
Yeah, but
But
you get
traffic
you
is
get the
crazy.
driver. You get the driver.
You got a driver, so what you worried
Exactly.
about? You sitting back left.
Man, Kenya sounds amazing. I have a coworker. He's in the chat, Mr. Simon Couture. Shout out to Simon. He's from Kenya. He's from Nairobi. He's been talking to me
Oh
about
wow,
going over there quite a bit.
wow.
He's in the chat. Maybe he'll, hit you with some questions in a bit.
Nice,
Being
Simon.
you being
Simon,
Af-
I'm living in
Go
right
ahead.
now. I'm living in right now I'm in Karen, but I have a spot in Kilimani also.
Yeah. So, man, I got to get over there. I'm definitely going to drop your information a little later, so others who want to come over there to Kenya,
Mhm.
they can hit you up and and get that
I
love.
literally feel like an ambassador for African Americans for Kenya. I think it's the future. Well, first of all, anyone knows what the hell's going on. Africa is the future. It's the future of the world. Everybody has had their time. Now it's our time. We had our time back in the day. Then the continent kind of, got jacked up. but now the continent's coming back together, and this place is the future. I personally think that Kenya can be the future of Africa for the future. Just because it's so far ahead in so many things like tech. Like a lot of people I love, especially when I'm in the States or in London, and they're like, "Oh, so Troy, how's living in Kenya? Is it really hard?" You know, and I always start with, "Do you know the first digital currency was developed in Kenya? Not Apple Pay, not Chase Pay, not Cash App, not any of that stuff. All of that comes from M-Pesa. And M-Pesa was started by Safaricom, which is kind of like Kenya's version of Verizon or AT&T. And they've had mobile money for damn near like 15 years. No one uses cash here. They do have cash, and Kenyan currency is actually kind of sexy. Um, but no one, I haven't touched cash, dude, in maybe 15, 16 months. I don't use
Wow.
it. Like you use your phone for everything. Like for everything. You pay all your bills, you pay your workers, you pay if you bet your boy at the bar on a game, you pay him through M-Pesa. Like everyone uses M-Pesa. And they've
Wow.
been using this for about 15 years.
Wow, that's dope. Look, man, how many countries have you been to, and which are some of your favorites over there, and why?
Well, I'll start with a place that I want to go to that I haven't been to, which I'm sure somebody's going to probably ask. Like, so how do you compare it to Ghana? Because African Americans are going to Ghana at a great rate right now. And I love the president of Ghana. He was very smart to tap into African Americans. So I haven't been to Ghana, so I haven't the faintest idea. I just hear great things about Ghana. But the one thing I can say Kenya has over Ghana is the weather, because it never gets too hot here and it never gets too cold here. The elevation in Nairobi is higher than Denver. So you're at a really high elevation. So even in the summertime, it might get like 90 at the highest, but it's a dry 90. And then there's always a breeze. And then the clouds are always going past the sun, so it kind of cools things off. And then it doesn't get too cold. So I don't have an air conditioner. And I've stayed in some unbelievable places in Nairobi and have never had an air conditioner, never needed one.
Wow.
And my friends in the States are like, how you gonna live in Africa and not have an air conditioner, Troy? Is it that hard,
Wow.
bro? Money? And I'm like, nah, bro, I don't need an air conditioner, because it never gets too hot, it never gets too cold, and it never gets too hot. I've been to SA, I've been to Uganda, Tanzania, Zimbabwe. I've been to Lagos the most. Been there because there was a company that I was working for. So I've been to Lagos maybe about 15 times.
Wow.
Um, I've been to Addis, should I say Uganda, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, Mozambique. All nice places, real nice places. Even, black folks love going to South Africa, going to Johannesburg, or Cape Town. But I'd take Nairobi over all of those places, hands down. Hands down.
And I guess for the reasons you said earlier, because in a lot of those countries they have problems with the infrastructure, electricity, they need
Right.
generators and stuff. And people
Hmm.
talk about SA, which is South Africa, quite a bit,
Right.
but they may not realize you need a generator over there. Their infrastructure's
Yeah.
kind of ill.
Yeah. It is. And I mean, they've got great. I like SA for their highways. I like SA for the cost of living because it's dirt cheap. Like you can live really well in South Africa very cheaply, but you're gonna need more security because it ain't that safe. And then I just like Kenyans more than everybody, and no knock against any Africans anywhere. I love my Kenyans. Like they just
They're super laid back, huh?
unbelievable.
They're super duper
Yeah,
laid back.
you know what they remind me of? Like Nigerians, because they're on the west coast of Africa, actually kind of remind me of New Yorkers. And Kenyans remind me of people from either kind of like the South or LA. in regards to just their laid backness. You know, they're just real smooth, real laid back, smart as shit, work hard as I was gonna curse. Well, I
Yeah,
did curse. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah. Let's chill
yeah,
for let's chill for the little ones and the parents for the little ones. But continue.
yeah. They work hard as crap. Good people, trustworthy. Just great. They just create a great environment here. You know, it's a beautiful country, man.
Yeah, yeah. And I would have think I've heard stories about Nairobi, so I would have thought Nairobi, Kenya would have more issues than South America. I mean, I'm sorry, SA, South
Mhm.
Africa, but
Right.
you feel
Nah.
otherwise.
SA got problems. Like they got problems. I have friends that live there, and they're secure. They're always, you know, with security and break-ins, and you know, people jacking them on the streets, and you know, just problems. There's a freak. I forgot that word. Well, I don't even want to go there. But it's you know, great place to visit. It's cool. But when I tell my friends that want to go there, I'm like, why go there when you can come to Kenya and you can have the best safaris in the world. Our safaris are world renowned, way better than SA or anywhere else in the world. And you can go to the best beaches in the world, all 45-minute flight away, maybe 150 to $200 round trip to the coast or to a safari,
Yeah, we're
and you
gonna
can
talk
have
about that.
the
We're gonna
time of your
definitely
life.
talk about that. Hey guys,
You know,
get the likes up, guys. We have a few people in the building. If you like the content so far, it's free. Just hit the like button. It helps with the algorithm, and we certainly appreciate the support of the
plus
show. But go ahead.
plus Kenya has the only safari park within the city limits, so you
Mm,
could literally go
mm.
to our national park and ride around and see lions and tigers and bears.
Oh
You know,
wow,
it's like,
wow.
oh wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's
We're the
crazy.
only country in the world that has that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get over there. And for some of the parents that our target audience, our parents teaching our kids. A lot of us have kids under 30 years old. I would say young adults under 30 years old. That's what this content is for, to share with those guys, and
Mhm.
also to ensure that we have people like yourself, African American over in Kenya, and you're touchable. I mean, they can really connect with you, and you're a good brother. I've been hearing about you for a while, so I'm just so honored to have you on the show. Let's, before we go into the chat and all, to get questions from the chat, and for those who are in the chat, put a Q colon and your question. I will pop it up on the screen, and Troy White will be able to answer your questions live. So we're going to come to that in a moment. But Troy, before we go there, let's get a little bit of your background. Tell us a little bit more about you, your background, and where
Okay,
you're from.
no problem. Um, Born in Camden, so I got to give Camden, New Jersey. But I'm a Philly cat. We moved to Philly when I was like about 5 or 6, and was raised in Philly, and went to the illustrious, greatest, unbelievable university in the entire planet
Oh,
or
that must be
galaxy,
that must be
Mecca.
Tuskegee University. If you're talking about HBCU, you must be talking
I'm like
about
third or fourth.
Tuskegee University.
But everybody knows where I'm about to head to, because there's only one, and that is the Howard University, the Mecca. You know. So went to Howard, majored in communications, and started at the radio station there as an intern in communications, WHBC, and from there got an internship. God bless Chrissy Murray. Chrissy, if you're watching this, I love you, because there would be no Troy White without you. She was also a couple of years ahead of me, and when it was time for her to graduate, she she gave me her internship at CBS Records in 1985, and I got the job, and then was an intern for CBS Records up into '88 when I graduated Howard, and then Don Eason, who was running Epic Records at the time, hired me, and I love you, Don. Hired me and brought me to New York, and I was secondary marketing manager for Epic for about a year and a half, and then he sent me to Cleveland, lovely Cleveland, Ohio, to do radio and TV promotions for Epic and concert promotions for Epic for the Midwest. I did that for a year. Then they brought me back to New York to start Epic's and Sony Music's first rap division in 1991. And it was the first major label to have a rap division. So I did that for a couple years, and under Hank Caldwell, got to give Hank Caldwell some love. That's my man. Um, and left Sony in like 95, 96, and started my own marketing company where I consulted with a whole bunch of other record labels. But at Sony, I got a chance to work with Michael Jackson and the Miles Davis catalog, John Coltrane catalog, Snoop Dogg, NWA, Luther Vandross, Sade, Shabba Ranks. Um, did work with the Rolling Stones under Columbia, and a bunch of unbelievable artists. So I was like, well, if you can market music, because at the time in the 90s, we were only people that had street teams. Like no one had street teams. No one did guerrilla marketing. Like guerrilla marketing, all that stuff started in the music industry. People don't know that. It's common sense now. Like Kraft Foods uses guerrilla marketing now. Like everyone does it. But that shit started in the music industry in the early 90s. Um, so I was like, wow, if you can do that, then if you can market a record, because we were the most creative people on the planet, you can market anything. So I got some friends that were working at different companies, and I was like, hey, let me help you with some of your products and let me market them. So a good friend of mine, Fillmore Anderson, was working at Dannon at the time, and he was like, yo, we want to sell more yogurt to black folks. I was like, yo, I can do that shit. um, so I put together kind of like a cool program in like a bunch of bodegas in Harlem just to start out, and had beautiful street team ambassadors, letting people sample Dannon yogurt, and they saw uptick in sales. And then we started doing the program nationally. And then from there, I did some work at Coke and Pepsi and Nike and Adidas and American Express and Gillette and about 50 different liquor brands, and did that for a while. Um, then my ex-wife got a great opportunity for us to come to Africa, where she had an opportunity to be CEO of a huge advertising agency, and we're both very open-minded and risk takers. Um, so we were like, "Yo, that would be hot." Someone's going to pay for us to move to Kenya, and our kids get a chance to go to school here for 3 or 4 years, and we get a chance to live in Africa. Neither one of us had ever been to the continent, so and didn't know anyone here. But we were both like, this will be hot. So, and what I do, I can do it anywhere. You could send me to freaking the Antarctic, and I can make some shit hot there. So I knew that wherever I would go, I'd be able to make some things happen. So we moved here, and the rest is history. I mean, it's been unbelievable, and I've had an opportunity to dab my hands into a little bit of everything from tech. And we'll talk. Yeah, I don't want to go too far because I know
Yeah.
you got a system. So
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll go into your tech. People don't realize. I mean, you over there, and you over there, and you work for a company over there, and you have your own business over there.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
which one would you like for me to share? Can I share the Metaverse company that you work with over there?
Yeah, the digital self. Yes.
Yeah, digital self. Tell us a little bit because I'm gonna play this video that you provided to show some of the technology and stuff you guys are working on over there in Kenya. Can I hit that now?
Yep. Hit it, baby.
Okay. So that's the Metaverse company you work for. Tell us a little bit about that. You got a job in Kenya working
Yeah.
for a Metaverse company? That's dope.
It's beautiful company based out of London, and I'm the MD for Africa in the States.
What is
Um,
an MD?
managing director. So I basically handle all of our stuff for the US and for Africa. Um, and we're literally, it's funny because when we were talking about this virtual reality before COVID, everyone was kind of like, are people really ready for this? And da da da. But now people are wide open to it. So now I can't mention some of the things that we're working on, but because of COVID, and I always believe this, and my mother taught me this, like no matter during the darkest times, there's always something positive. You just got to find it. So literally during those times, we came up with a great concept, and so that we're able to provide. So imagine if we go into another lockdown, right? Which will eventually happen one day. Museums won't have to go out of business. Um, Safaris won't have to go out of business. Different things like that, because people will be able to virtually visit those and pay.
Right.
So you and your
Right.
family, you sitting in Philly and y'all just chilling in the crib, and you're like, "Hey kids, want to go on a safari today?"
Yep.
You can
That's the
put your on your
metaverse.
VR.
That's the
Yeah,
metaverse.
you
The
put your VR
metaverse is a
stuff.
digital twin of
Yes,
reality. But go ahead.
and you can literally go on a real safari. Or if you want to go visit the Motown Museum or the African American Museum, you can go visit them. So we're creating, a revenue for them, and even colleges. Like when I go back to the States, I want to meet at Howard so that we can get past the whole Zoom stuff, which is boring and it's flat and it has no life, to where kids can actually walk on campus, walk into the School of Communications, and walk into a classroom and actually have a class instead of doing Zoom,
Yeah.
which is boring as crap.
Yeah.
So we're creating really cool. And then for artists on the entertainment side, artists can be like, hey, you know what? I want to do a concert next week in my living room, and I want to charge people $5. And you can go to Madison Square Garden if you're Jay-Z, and yeah, you can fill it up with 25,000 people, you know. But how about having a concert where people actually are kind of there virtually, and you've got 5 million people paying $5? It just totally makes sense. And that's where we're headed anyway. So we're just trying to get ahead of the game and make things happen.
Oh yeah, that's nice. And a lot of people wouldn't realize in Kenya that kind of technology. And how did you get the job? That is the question.
Ah,
Because, you
this
is it as easy as it sounds? Because in America you can get jobs like boom boom boom. So was it like boom boom boom, or was it a little
no, it was
effort?
little, and this is for the kids, the younger people out there that are in high school or college. You always have, that old saying, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. I have no problem talking to people or introducing myself to people, and it's helped me in my through my entire life. So I was at a barbecue with a friend of mine. Shout out to my girl Cheryl in London. We were my family and I were at a barbecue at her place, and this guy walks in, and I was like, he's kind of cool. Like his whole vibe was like cool. And I walked over to him. We started talking, and then he says, "Troy, we've actually been looking for somebody like you that has a music industry and entertainment background, who's in Africa, that also knows the States."
Wow.
Literally, not just like boom, you know, put it together and made that happen. But if I didn't walk over to him, if I never started a conversation, if I didn't analyze him and be like, he's kind of different. Like, who is this cat? Let me go introduce myself to him, and just start a conversation. I didn't know I was going to end up getting a job out of it. But as my pop used to say, you never know. So I'm always up to talking to people and introducing myself. I think it's a good thing to do. Every job I've ever gotten has come from, me being aggressive.
Oh, that's cool. That's good advice. A closed mouth doesn't get fed. Great
With
advice.
it.
I'm about to go to the chat. I have one additional question before I go to the chat. For those who have questions, want to meet Troy, want to connect, have comments, put a Q colon and then I'll be able to filter those very quickly and be able to bring you up when we go to our chat format. Hey Troy, what are some of the things about Kenya and Nairobi that would surprise us Americans that are expensive over there? And what are some of the surprising items over there that we would find to be cheap?
Okay, expensive cars. Cars are damn near almost like twice the price because of the tax that they put on cars. Everything else is moderately priced. That's the only thing really to me that's really expensive is cars. Everything else is, like I said, priced as if you were in Philly or Charlotte or Raleigh. Um, Everything other than how much you would pay your employees. The employees don't get paid as much as I told you, just in regards to, like cooking and cleaning and driving, and even like your assistant or your I don't know what type of company someone would have, but the people that they would pay them. My thing is always being generous. So you want to pay them more than what the standard is, because it'll create more loyalty. But still, when you even pay more than what the standard is, you're still paying cheaper than what you would pay that person in the States.
And you say in comparison to South Africa, Kenya is a lot more expensive. It's not
Yeah,
dirt
in
cheap, but
regards
it's
to like the
moderately
how
cheap.
much you would pay for how much you would pay for a car or how much you would pay for a house or rent, or even going out to dinner. I love sushi. Sushi's my favorite food in the world. And I can eat damn near $80 to $100 worth of sushi. And I went to SA for the first time to Johannesburg, and I sat down, went to a sushi restaurant. I had two carafes of sake, and I easily ate damn near $80 worth of of sushi, and I paid $25. And I had two carafes of their best sake.
Where's this
And it was
again?
a really
Where's this
nice.
again?
This was in Johannesburg.
Oh, South
You know,
Africa. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Now that easily would have cost me 800. $80 to $100 here in Nairobi, just as it would cost the same thing in the States.
Gotcha.
Restaurants are basically the same. The price is exactly the same amount as you in regards to quality as you would pay in the States. You
Gotcha.
know.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So let's go to
Oh,
the
or let
go
me
ahead.
tell you,
Go ahead.
healthcare here is really inexpensive.
Yeah,
Like
do
just for
tell for some of us approaching
for
retirement.
medication, it's damn near like 20-25% of whatever you would pay in the States for medication, your doctor's visits, all that kind of stuff is just unbelievably cheap. Like I got um, a cat fixed, and it cost me like I think I paid anywhere between 150 and $200
Oh
for a
wow.
cat.
Oh
Yeah,
wow. Wow. Yeah, yeah, like
yeah,
a crown, tooth
yeah,
crown.
crown. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I just actually went through that.
And that was two visits, and I paid
Yeah.
like 150, $200.
Wow. That's a good price. Let's go to the chat question and answer portion of the show. If you have
Oh, don't
questions,
forget to hit that
yeah, hit the
the
like button if you like the
gaming channel.
comment. If you like what you're seeing, if you it's free and it helps with the algorithm. And if you're interested with providing content that you're interested in, hit the like button. Show us some love. Hey, I have a question in the chat from Miss Jams. She asks, "Is the
Yes,
Maasai tribe there in Nairobi?"
yes, they are. And they actually kind of run like the cattle business here. They're traditionally been herders, I guess, for thousands of years. So yeah, the Maasai's they're here, cool, very beautiful people, and they kind of run the whole like beef and goat industry here.
Okay. And we don't have as many questions in the chat. I do have a comment here from this person. It's hard for me to pronounce that name, but it sounds like there's a person over there that would love to meet you. And I know you run the opening. We show the nightclub that you run. You want to talk about that?
Ah, yes. So as I told, as I mentioned earlier, like people can, whatever you do, you can come here and do it. So in the States in 1990 in New York, I ran a club called Inner Circle in Brooklyn. It was an after hours spot, members only. And I've always wanted to kind of run a club again. So a year, 2 years ago, there's a restaurant called Mwimbi that opened up, and I'm very proud of this because a friend of mine brought me in. Shout out to Aram, and introduced me to four Kenyan partners that wanted to start this unbelievable restaurant called Mwimbi. In Swahili, that's wave, as in like ocean waves. Shout out to Aman, and they believe in my energy. They believed in my ideas and my concepts. So I was working with them and created an unbelievable buzz for this restaurant. And I basically, and this is the whole thing about whatever you do in the States, you can do here. So damn near 15 years ago, Red Rooster opened up in Harlem.
Oh, I've
Shout out to
eaten there. I
Mr.
eaten there right off of 125th,
Yes,
right beside Sylvia's. Right beside
it was the
Sylvia's.
first upscale restaurant to come to Harlem. This is when I was doing marketing in the States. So Marcus got in touch with me, and I did like 6 opening parties for him before the restaurant officially opened up. So I just took the same concept with Mwimbi, and we did a bunch of opening, and no one has ever done that here in Nairobi, where we were just had an opening night party. We had like shit, maybe 8 to 10 of them here, just with all the right people that have all the right connections, so that they could start going out and talking about the restaurant before the restaurant even opened up. So when the restaurant finally opened up, it was a huge buzz in the city about this new restaurant. And the concept of the restaurant was, and I mentioned this to Aman when they were building it. I said, listen, our competition is not in Kenya. Our competition is not in Africa. I want us to think that if we were to pick up this restaurant with the staff, the chef, the food, the liquor, the music, the energy, the vibe, and if we could pick up everything and place it in Dubai, it would kick ass. If we were to place it in London or New York or Vegas or LA or Miami, it would kick ass. So we can't compare ourselves to anyone. So let's think about that in our concepts and when they were developing it and things of that nature. Funny thing happens, 4 months ago, we win number one luxury seafood restaurant in the world.
Nice, nice, nice.
Simply because
In the
we did
world.
not, yeah, in the world. We went against restaurants in Japan, Paris, London, freaking Greece, New York, Miami, LA, and we won. And that's because we didn't look around and say, oh, our competition is doing this, so we should do this. No, we just created something that would kick ass anywhere else in the world.
That's
And
dope. That's
the
dope.
owners are really good cats. They're very forward thinking brothers, and I really enjoy working with them.
Yeah, you guys gonna have to
So,
reach out. We're gonna have to provide the contact information. Is it real? Are you really gonna? If people reach out, are you gonna take care of us?
oh, I got you. I
Okay.
got you.
All right. All right. All right. We have some people that
Got
travel
plenty of
here.
room.
So yeah,
The
we have people that travel. Let's. Here's another question from the
other thing
chat.
is, you showed the video.
What was that? Go ahead.
Hello?
No, go
Oh,
ahead.
okay. I was saying the other video is something else. I have two favorite words, and that's love and groovy. So I created this event in Mwimbi, the restaurant called Groovy First Thursdays, where every first Thursday of the month we have a dope Kenyan artist perform acoustically, and then after that artist performs, then we play music and a DJ and all that kind of stuff. And it's the hottest night in Nairobi right now. Like it's unfreaking believable. So that was my groovy event. And then a year ago, no, 8 months ago, a good friend of mine, shout out to Mike Flint, who's the GM at Move and Pick, which is a really dope hotel here. He came to my groovy events and was like, "Wow, Troy, I would love for some of your crowd to come to Move and Pick." And I was like, "Well, show me what you got." So he took me there, and I got a chance to see his space, and I literally saw it. I was like, "Yo, I want to turn this into a private membership only club. So whenever I have events here, you have to have a membership in order to even come. So it's not open to anyone. You can't just pay to get in. You have to be a member in order to come. So it's called Love. So I have two events. One's Love and one's Groovy. And now
Nice.
that's another event that I do on a monthly basis here. That's really hot.
Let me go through a couple other questions. Sounds like that's a good way to connect with Troy. We'll provide your info in the end. Here's a question. Miss James has a question for you, Troy. Is there a
Mm-hmm.
universal medical insurance system there?
Yes, there is. I couldn't
Okay.
give you the name of it, but if you give me, when you reach out to me, I can get you the information for that.
Okay, perfect. And I would assume it just comes out of your taxes, or do you just pay for it? How does that work?
Now you would just pay for it
Okay,
through your insurance.
and that was the inexpensive thing that you were talking about earlier.
Yes. Yep,
All
yep,
right.
yep.
So we have another question from Mr. Simon Gachore. You like to take that? This is the guy from Nairobi, a coworker of mine.
Okay, cool.
He says, other than Nairobi and Mombasa, what are the other towns? What other towns have you visited in Kenya?
So I used to work for this company called EXP when I first came here. It was a huge advertising agency. So we used to do events around Kenya. So I've probably been to maybe about like 7 to 10 other towns outside of Nairobi where we've had events at. I love Kenya because there's all these little towns and shit have like their own different vibes. Depending upon what you're interested in, what you like to do. Kenya's also, if you're an outdoorsy person, if you like to go hiking and camping and all that kind of stuff, great place for
Camping.
outdoor.
Camping.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So that for our boy Hugh,
Yeah.
that was one of the pitches to Hugh. Like Hugh, you can do all the stuff you're doing in Seattle. You can do that here in Nairobi.
Wow. 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 Okay. All right. We have another question in the chat from Miss Jams. Can a retired person merely making $2,000 a month live comfortably in Nairobi?
Eh, if nah, it would be hard for me to rock off for two the way that it depends on how you like to live. Like you can easily get a one bedroom apartment for $500. That's decent. It's not hood, but it's decent. Um, and now you got 1,500 to play with. But I like to go out. I like to eat nice restaurants. I like to travel. I like to have fun. 2 G's is, you know, especially if you're coming from the States. Some of my Kenyan friends would probably be like, "Yo, you can do 2 G's in Nairobi," But if you're coming from the States, you might want to be bringing in a little bit more than that, depending upon what you like to do. If you're just cool with staying in the crib all day and your apartment and maybe doing a little gardening or whatever have you, and you really don't go out that much or anything like that, you could truly swing off of 2 G's.
Okay.
But if you like going out and if you like traveling and going to the coast and things of that nature, and going to all the beautiful fine restaurants that are here, you won't be spending American money.
Gotcha. Okay, we got another question here in the chat. Question from Roger Sidney. What inspired you to start up the Love event in Nairobi? I think you answered that.
No, no, I didn't actually get to the inspiration part.
Uh
Well,
oh.
I said why because those love is one of my favorite words. Um, but it was weird because the owner at the time of moving pick, he didn't like it. So we were going over some other names and we were sitting in a meeting and we had CNN on. And it was at the time when like the Haitian president or somebody got shot and killed, and then something was happening in Afghanistan, and we were both looking at the news. And I said to him, I was like, "Yo, man, the world needs more love," and it just came out of nowhere. And then I looked at him. I was like, "What did I tell you, dude?" And he's like, "All right, Troy, love it is. Like I get it. I get the whole love thing now." So that's the backstory on love.
Gotcha. Here's a question here from Richard Minter.
Ah, so listen, I'm 56 years old. I've known this cat since I was like 4 or 5.
Wow.
He's my Yeah, him and his brother named Tony, and this girl named Melanie. We all grew up together. Well, we were together in Camden when I was like 4 or 5 years old. So, and we're all still cool, which is funny. Like we've known each other for 50 plus years. So Rich is coming to Nairobi. Finally been, I've been here for 7.5 years. So his behind is finally coming. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Rich.
What,
He's got his ticket and everything.
when is the best time to come to Nairobi? Because I know Nairobi has a raining season. So when is the
Yes.
best time to come?
So I'd say anywhere between November and April, the best weather in the world. It's like anywhere in between 80 degrees, 85, and dry. And if it rains, it'll rain like in the morning for just like 15 minutes. And then the rest of the day, the sky is just beautiful. It's like you just want it because we're close to the equator. So the clouds just seem like they're even closer. So you just want to like reach up and almost like touch a cloud. Is the weather's beautiful during that time. After April, it gets a little cooler and it becomes rainy season. And it's still cool, like to an American, especially somebody on the East Coast, because it's like 70, 75. It might get down to like 65, 60 at night. Um, and you'll get some rain. But if you want the best weather, anywhere in between November and I'd say April.
All right, gotcha. We're getting all kinds of comments here. Your boy Richard Mentor is still commenting that love event. Is there any designers a brother can learn on? A brother can learn on? Can
Yeah,
learn on
yeah, that's our Camden talk.
for some fish, so
so,
for some fresh gear. Okay.
so Rich Money, when you come, I'm gonna hook you up with my man Nelvin Chuma. And any of you anyone out there that's interested, even females, because when any of my female family members or friends come and visit, I always hook them up with my boy Nelvin. He's at on Instagram. He's at NC Nairobi. So it's NC Nairobi. And just tell him, hit him in his DMs and tell him I told you to reach him. But he actually made this shirt for me for my event that was 2 weeks ago, where we had this really dope artist, Xenia, perform. Shout outs to Xenia. She's Kenyan's version of like a her or a Snow Allegra, but even better. So,
Dope.
um, so on the designing, like I know about damn near 5 to 10 unbelievable designers, like they can design anything. I don't even buy designer clothes anymore. Like I got some designer clothes, of course, but the majority of things that I wear are Kenyan. And you can get some nice stuff made. I'm sure somebody's like, well, then how much was the shirt? Shirt
That
was
was going to
how
be
much?
my question.
Yeah. I think the shirt might have cost me $60 or $70,
Tailor
and
made.
it's body tailor made. I picked the fabric. He sent me swatches, on WhatsApp. I was like, oh, this swatch right here. He knows how I like my stuff cut, and he makes it for me within 3 days. I got it. You can have a full suit made, you know, within 3 to 5 days. You can get all kinds of stuff made. So they've got great prints and fabrics here, like beautiful prints and fabrics.
Yeah, I've been through that. When I travel overseas to Hong Kong, Thailand,
Uh-huh.
you could get those tailor made suits and tailor made
Yeah.
shirts and stuff. that is a really good price for tailor-made. But the only problem with tailor-made is if you
Mhm.
eat too much, those
Oh
shirts and
yeah, that's your
suits
behind.
actually
There's
fit.
no room to expand
There's no
it.
room. They fit you, so you have to keep
Yeah,
your
you got to stay on
exercise
that
game.
diet.
Yeah, you have to keep your exercise game tight. Here's another question for
Yes.
you. What is the current gas prices over there?
Wow, that's a really good question, and I can't answer that because I don't drive. So, so we have literally after my family, we had a driver when my family was here. Hell to the no, no, no.
Go ahead.
Uh,
Just joking with
when
you.
my family was here, we had a driver. So I'll probably have a driver in about 3 months. But right now I don't have one, so I've been Ubering for this past year. So there's Uber here. There's Uber Eats here. Like all the stuff that we have in the States, they have here. So I pay no attention to gas prices. I would think though, from what I kind of remember, it might be like $2 and change a gallon, somewhere around in there, maybe a little cheaper than that. Because I'm sure it fluctuates. But it's some that right there you could easily Google.
Oh,
And then
that
plus they do liters here, so I
yeah,
can't
it's a
even really,
different conversion. That's
yeah.
crazy though. You do drivers and stuff, so that's mad cool. That is
So
mad cool.
the other thing, I was gonna talk about, hold on, we're talking about the price
You was talking
for
about the price
gas.
of gas and driving, and you're doing the Uber and all of that.
I
I,
forget it.
yeah,
It
we can
just,
come back to
I'm
it.
old.
Don't worry about it. I have another questions in the chat. I really want to show the audience love more than just my questions because I have some more
Yep.
stuff. But
Mhm.
I want the audience to get what they're looking for. So here's another question from Rogers Sydney. Have you
Ha
have you been to the social house
Social
Nairobi?
house. All right, so yes, I do this dope event at Mwimbi. I mean at Moving Pick, which is a really dope hotel. But I gotta say, the social house is, if anyone's been to what's the private club, there's membership only. It's in they have one in Soho, they have one in Brooklyn, they got one in Miami. There's a couple of them in London. Um, shit, somebody in the
Yeah, they
ah,
would know. I don't know. I go
anyway,
there, but I don't
it's a
party.
social house. Is kind of is kind of designed after this private club, where it's a beautiful high end hotel. It's, to me, it's the dopest hotel that I've stayed in Africa, and even freaking London and some places in the States. Very high tech, very sexy. Like the refrigerator, if the refrigerator is orange, then the accents in the room are orange. Even the notepad next to the phone is orange. The phone is orange. Like they've paid crazy detail to everything, and the service is next to, just the best service in the world. Um, so that's one of my other favorite hotels here in Nairobi. Those are my two favorite, and then there's another hotel called Tribe that I stayed at for a month when my family first moved here, that just did renovations. It's also really good. But I would only refer those three hotels. There are other really nice hotels here, but those are just my favorites.
Okay, all right. So, man, that's crazy.
All right, my girl's on it. Miss Jams is on
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it.
yeah,
Four
yeah.
dollars and 38
That's a
cents.
little more expensive than the United States of America.
Go ahead, Miss
Yeah, that's a
Jams.
little more expensive. I do have a question from Mr. Gature. The question is, what is your favorite Kenyan food and what was your worst?
Ha. So Simon trying to get me in trouble. So what I've learned in on this continent is, everyone's got, it's funny how African Americans, it's we're exactly like Africans in a lot of ways. And we'll talk about this later when we talk about, the how we are very similar. But when it comes to food, like how we eat collard greens, they have something very similar called skooma wiki, and it's just like freaking collard greens. Like it's just like it, but they'll dice up like some onions and some tomatoes in it, and they'll pan fry it. And it's really freaking good. And then I researched it, and it's a cousin of collard greens. Like it's very similar to collard greens. So I was like, wow, so y'all do greens just like we do greens. And then they have something on the side that I really don't eat much of, although I had some 2 days ago. And there's this thing called ugali, and it's really like cornmeal, like, and it's really, and they cook it thick, so you can almost like pick it up like bread or something, but you can knead it. So picture, it's very similar to grits, but it's hard. So you just pick it up, you know, and then you use it, very similar to, like, instead of using a fork, you just use that and you mix it in with your skooma and your yamachama, which is like kind of grilled meat, and you can just eat it that way. I don't eat much of it because I'm old, and my thing is, if anything goes in my mouth, it's going to taste good. Like if I'm going to take in calories, I got to enjoy it. So skooma really, I mean, ugali really doesn't have much of a taste to it. So they don't put like butter and or sugar. That's a big debate in the States. Do you put sugar in your grits? Although I would never put sugar in my grits. But how we put cheese in our grits and stuff like that. They don't put all that stuff in their ugali, but it's corn based just like grits. So I was just like, wow. So their food in Kenya though is really freaking good. Like unbelievable. Like I love the food here. And one of the other things is the farm to fork here is literally, if the cow, on Sunday, you're eating that cow on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. So they don't have to pump, a whole bunch of chemicals into their food here. And I think that's played a part in my blessing in regards to my health and how I've literally gone backwards in age since I've been here. And I think the main reason is because of the food that I eat and the less stress. I don't have that American, I'm a black person stress on my back that I have to carry around
Ooh,
20.
ooh, that stress on the
People don't
back.
realize how heavy that shit is. Can I
Yeah, they
can
don't
I go into
realize
that
it.
story that I told?
Yeah,
Can
go
I go
for it.
into that story?
Go for it.
So I was here for 7 months. I want everybody out here to listen to this, because this shit is probably the most powerful thing that I'm going to say in the entire joint. We were here for about 6 or 7 months, and I woke up one day and I felt really happy and I felt really light. Those two, remember those two words, happy and light. And I was almost to the point where I got emotional, like I wanted to almost cry. And every day for like 4 days, I kept on trying to figure out, like, damn, what the hell? Why do I feel happy? And why do I feel so light? Almost like I could just like jump up in the air and stay in the air. And then it freaking hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, I have been carrying around a refrigerator on my back my entire freaking life as a black person living in the States. And I didn't even realize I was carrying that shit. All that, walking around and going into a store and you got a suit on and the security guard is following you around and people asking you, what do you want? Or going to a restaurant with your family and they're sitting white people before they sit your family, or God forbid, the cops stop you, which has happened to me damn near 50 times in my entire life. And all the other things when you're presenting in a conference room and white folks are on their phone, they're not paying attention and all that kind of stuff, and you have to overprove yourself. Everywhere you go, I don't care if you're walking down the street or if you're in a conference room, you're always having to overprove yourself. And that shit just disappeared. And that was the lightness. Like, I was like, black folks don't realize that heaviness, it's almost like being in an abusive relationship. And that's the only relationship you've ever been in your entire life. So you think that that's how a relationship is supposed to be. because that's the only relationship you've ever been in. So you're like, oh, I guess I'm supposed to get my ass kicked every day. This is all I know. Like that's literally what it's like being a black person in the States. You're literally getting and I'm not bitching and complaining. Like I loved living in the States. I had a beautiful life. I was a rah rah Siskumba American and shit. Like I'm I'm a Philadelphia Eagles lover. I went season tickets. Me and my pop would go to all the games. I loved America. Like America has done good for me. um, but all I have to say is that there are other opportunities and other places. You get brainwashed in the States where you feel like, this is the only place, I know, so this is the only place that I can get down at. And no, there's a big world out there.
Yeah, man.
And especially Africa. Like this is the future,
Yeah,
and you
man.
want to play a part. Like I've always, when I moved to Harlem, it was, I bought a house in Harlem in 1995 when no one was talking about Harlem. It wasn't hot, it wasn't sexy. We didn't have Starbucks, we didn't have an Old Navy, we didn't Red Rooster wasn't there. It wasn't like the hot, sexy place. And got to get a shout out to Lynn Burnett, who used to be the owner of Vibe Magazine and a couple other big media companies. He called me one day. I was living downtown Manhattan, and he's like, "Yo, bro, you need to put your money in Harlem." I was like, "What?" I was like, "I love my apartment." He's like, "Nah, you're making somebody." His exact words were, "You're making somebody else rich." And I'm gonna equate this to Africa. So I was like, okay, I'll come up to Harlem and check you out. And it took me 30 minutes to spend with him in Harlem to get on why I needed to buy in Harlem instead of paying a high price rent downtown. And I say that to say now my money in Harlem has more than tenfold. I say the same thing for I can only speak for Nairobi, Kenya, because I've never lived anywhere else on this continent. But I feel the way I felt about Harlem, like it's the future. I totally feel like Nairobi, Kenya is the future, and this continent is the future. I feel it with every ounce of my energy and bones.
Oh, wow. And so, speaking of real estate, what does the real estate go for there? Is the real
I
estate
would say the
expensive
same.
there? And
No,
another
it
question,
will be. Go ahead.
along those lines: can you actually own in Kenya? I hear that you can only lease in Kenya, and not actually own property. So, can you address that?
Well, I will say there are ways to go about that. And if anybody is interested in talking to me, sidebar, we can talk about that. But there are people that I know that are Americans and African Americans. Oh, this is another thing. So people won't believe this. So I'm on a chat on WhatsApp, a chat group, and it's a chat group full of African Americans who live in Kenya. And it's damn near like 300 of us on this WhatsApp chat. Strictly African Americans. And some have been here for, 10, 15, 20 years. And some have been here as of last month. But it's called Still We Rise. And that's a place where, all of us chat, like, hey, I need this to happen. Can somebody pull me a favor here? Can this happen? Da-da-da. Who knows somebody here? And da-da-da-da. And we're always like exchanging information to help our lives better.
So, yeah, the real estate though. What is there?
Uh, I
Can
would
you
say
can Yeah,
real
can
estate
you give me a
would be
comparable
kind of
price
like
for
the
like a
price.
2,000 square foot home or something like
No,
that?
I can't. I will tell you a 3-bedroom luxury apartment um in a really nice high-end sexy building, rental wise might cost you a month furnished anywhere in between at 2000 and 2500. um
So it's
and in some
comparable.
places,
It's
and maybe some places maybe 3Gs.
yeah, it's comparable
For
to the
rental.
U.S. It sounds, but go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's that's why I say like Nairobi's not. I think the last time I checked, which might have been a year ago, it's like the 56, anywhere between 56 and 60th most expensive city in the world. So it's not cheap, but it's still extremely doable. Like if your ass is living in Charlotte, you can live in Nairobi. If you're
Okay.
living in Atlanta, you can live in Nairobi. If you're
Yeah.
living in Philly, you can live in Nairobi.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. We got another question. Is it easy to get dual citizenship there? And
after
what's
you've
that
been here
process
for
like?
after you've been here for 7 years.
Okay. And so what does
Yeah.
that look like? Do you have to show that you make a certain income amount, or is it? Do you know what that process is at a high level?
I actually don't know what that process is. But I've had friends who are American who've gone through the process to become a dual citizen.
That's
And it's
fair.
fairly easy once
Okay.
you've been here for 7 years.
Okay. Yeah, and I know you're
But you can
probably
always get
sponsor. You
dur-
go ahead. Go
during
ahead.
those 7 years, you can get, work visa,
Right. Right.
and then you just have to renew that. I think it's like every 2 to 3 years you have to renew that.
Right. And I'm making an assumption you're on a work visa since you work for a
Yes.
company there, so
Yes.
that I can make that
Yeah.
assumption.
Mhm.
All right.
But I
So
would like to become a citizen. I love this place. Like I freaking love this
that
place.
is very, very obvious. How good is the education system? How good is the education system there?
The
And
education system is good, but again, it's just as so if you're a person and you got your kids, which probably a lot of your listeners do, have their kids in private schools in the States where they're paying anywhere in between 30 and $50,000 a year. Um, when you come here and you put your kids in private school, you're going to still pay anywhere. If you do like a U.S. school, like the ISK, that's the International School of Kenya. That's where my kids went to. It's an American-based school that was damn near close to $45,000 a year
oh
for
wow.
each of the kids. So but we were paying $40,000 a year for our kids in New York.
Okay.
So it's the same
Yeah,
private
very
school, but
comparable.
there are also really nice private schools here that you could pay 2,000, 20, 3,000, 5,000, a year. Their public school education here is really good. Kenyans are, and I'm sure my other friends across the continent might be like, "What are you talking about?" But when companies want to hire out of Dubai and anywhere in the UAE, Kenyans are like the number one people that they want to hire. Like they just because the education system here is really, really freaking strong. The public education system is strong, you know. So it works. You can do public, you can do private, but it's basically the same. Just like in the States, they're really good public schools that you can send your kids to. The same thing here in Kenya. They've got great public schools too.
Excellent. Excellent. Hey guys, get the likes up. If you're enjoying the content, you're finding the content informative, it's free, it helps with the algorithm. Give us a like. Hey Troy, you've been answering a lot of questions here. What are the most popular vacation spots there in Kenya? And where are the best beaches and islands you can go to there if those people who want to come over there and
Right.
visit?
So I mentioned earlier that we're the only country where you're from the city, you're a 45-minute flight to the best safaris in the world, and you're a 45-minute flight to the best beaches in the world. So there's a place called Mombasa, which is on the coast. And then like on the coast of Mombasa, there are like all these cool little islands and areas. One my favorite place is Malindi, but you guys can Google all these places. They're beautiful. Malindi, Watamu, Diani, Lamu. They even have this really sexy private island where there's one like really resort on it and nothing else, and that's called Chale Island. There's no restaurants, there's no nothing. There's a restaurant within the resort, but it's just an island with like 10 villas and that's it, you know. But there's plenty of beautiful places, even inland, for people to travel to do hiking and see beautiful waterfalls and unbelievable landscapes. You know, like I've always been a big God fan and I'm a Jesus fan. But when I went on my first safari, I was like, okay, I've always known that there is a God, but this is not happenstance. Like this place is so beautiful. You know, God just took his time just painting this. Like he had to paint this. It's just unbelievable. So when you go on a beautiful safari in Kenya, you get a chance to see those type of things. But there's a million things that you can do in Kenya if you like to go on vacations or then you're a little ways away from two of the best mountains in the world, Mount Kenya and Mount Kilimanjaro, for those who like to do some serious hiking. And one of those I will do this year. I've made a promise that I'll finally do one of those.
And do they have a lot of luxury hotels in these places? Because when I travel, I certainly like to
Mhm.
be comfortable.
I know you like to be comfortable.
Oh man, I'm not the guy who wants to camp. I'm more of a
Yeah, yeah,
glamper
yeah, yeah.
and not a camper.
Yes,
So
you could do. They've got Ritz Carlton like safari places. You know, where your tent literally looks like something in a Ritz Carlton. You know, so you can they call it glamping. You
yeah,
know, so you would never ever think that you're actually in a tent, but everything in there is just unfreaking believable. You've got Wi-Fi, you've got a beautiful clawfoot tub, you know, with rose petals in it, you know, and just a beautiful view of the Mara and a beautiful bed and just you know, a zebra print rug and just beautiful things, and it's comfortable. You're not getting eat up by bugs or anything like that. It's sexy, so
okay.
but you're gonna spend some money on
Yeah, that's what I was
that.
about to say. You're definitely going to spend some money. I have a couple additional
You know,
questions in the chat,
uh,
my friend. I have another question from Miss Jams. Do the Kenyans know about the misinformation taught here in the U.S. about Black history? And
so
are they aware of what Black Americans go through here with the
it,
lightweight story you were talking about earlier?
I will tell you, on both sides, it's jacked up. The story that's been, and that's because we've always allowed them to tell our story. So on the Africa side, the one negative thing about being on this continent, and I'm not saying anything that anybody doesn't know. Africa has sucked at marketing itself. It has allowed, this continent has allowed, every country has allowed other people to tell the story. And when other people tell the story, of course, they're only going to tell the story of little babies with flies on their lips and war and famine. You know, they're not going to show the sexy and the dope and the hot living that goes on on this continent and the opportunities. They're never going to show that. They're never going to let people know about those things and how well you can, you know, live here. On my IG, I never show anything that people would expect to see here. Like
Mm,
never. I
mm,
always show
mm.
really hot, really dope things where people are like, "Yo, Troy, you back in London? Oh, Troy, you back in New York?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm in Nairobi." You know, they're like, "Oh, you have that in Nairobi?" You know, so their image, and so on the flip side, you know, and I've had this conversation with some Kenyans, and you know, even gotten in debates because I even ran into a couple people that like Trump. Which is freaking crazy. So we had crazy freaking debates on that stuff. But a lot of times they only see the negative media of African Americans. So they always show whenever you see African Americans, you always see us popping our heads, sucking our teeth, you know, gang banging, doing, you know, being loud and crazy, breaking laws. So that image of African Americans is global.
Oh
So
no,
no one
no,
ever gets
no, no.
no one ever gets the true story of how dope and how kick ass African Americans really are. You know,
That's not
so
good. But go ahead, sir.
no, it's not good. It's horrible. But it's up to us when we travel and be humble, be open minded, to not pass judgment and be like, oh well, why they doing it that way? We do it this way in New York. Why they doing it this way? And did it? I never ask those questions. Like never. I just go along with the flow because I'm like, yo, they've been doing this shit for thousands of years. Matter of fact, they've been doing this shit longer than we was doing our shit.
Man, our kids are gonna get a adult
So why
conversation
ask questions?
today on the Bet Out of That
Just why
show.
ask questions? Just go along with the flow and be appreciative that you're here in a beautiful country, in a beautiful city, and just rock and roll with the flow.
Right. Perfect.
And that has always been my motto here. When I'm with Americans and they start like comparing, oh well, I don't like it when Kenyans do this or when this, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I was like, yo,
Yeah, and
you're here now.
that leads
Like you're
into the
here now.
yeah, that leads to the
So
next question though. And then the
mhm,
next question it says besides gas prices and traffic, what else
mhm.
don't you like about Kenya? Um, so and that's from Tony Johnson. Shout out to
Wow.
Tony.
Tony, believe it or not, like when I think of anything I don't like here, it's just basically the cost of cars and gas prices. Um, I could talk about politics, but freaking
That
politics are jacked up in the States.
it's
Politics are
everywhere.
jacked up
Politics
in
is
London.
everywhere, dog.
Politics are jacked up all around the freaking world. So I'm not going to get down on the politicians here because politics kind of suck everywhere. So
True. Facts.
again, I'm not going to pass judgment on how they get down with their politics because politics are freaking horrible in the States.
Yes.
You know,
Uh,
so I'm not going to point fingers.
I'm not going to say anymore before I get myself in trouble on the job. I'm not going to get myself
So
anymore. I'm a working
there's
man. So,
nothing really else that I don't like about this place.
yeah, guys, get the likes up. If you're enjoying the content, get the likes up. If you're learning something, like the video. It's free. And put a question in the chat so that you can ask Troy so that you can get what you're looking for versus me just asking questions I think you're looking for. Here's another question. What is the dominant religion practice there in Kenya?
So people are either a Christian or they're Muslim. Those are the two biggest religions here. So those are the two biggest religions, and it's like no problems. There's no beef in between the two. It's cool. And everyone. Oh, check this out. The other thing that makes it Nairobi different from a lot of other African countries is that everyone speaks English. Like everybody speaks English. I've yet in 7.5 years meet anyone that does not speak English. Like everyone freaking sweet speaks English. Now it's funny. I was talking to
Nice.
some of my friends the first time I came back, and I was like, "Yo, Americans are we're like so ignorant because I only speak English.
Right.
That's it. I took French in high school. I didn't pay attention to it. I don't know. I can count to 10
So
in
did
French and
I. I
say
took
like
French in high school
10 other
too.
words.
Yeah.
you know,
How many
but we
languages
basically
they speak over there? I know they speak crazy languages.
listen. I was talking to the lady that was cooking and cleaning for me. She speaks 6 languages. My gardener speaks 7 languages.
Wow.
7.
Wow.
They
Wow.
all speak damn near at the least maybe 3 or 4.
But the native language, I think, is Swahili, correct?
It's Swahili, yes,
Okay.
yes. But then amongst the tribes, they all have their own languages. You know, And then
Okay.
there's kind of like their hood version of Swahili, which is Shang, which is a total separate language, but it's kind of Swahili, but it's like hood Swahili, you know. But yeah, we're very ignorant when it comes to that, to languages and things of that nature, because I have tons of friends here that speak French, speak Italian, and fluent.
Yeah.
Yeah, along with their tribal languages and Swahili and English.
Oh wow, that's cool. Well, hey, Troy, we're getting close to kind of wrapping things up. I know you have your own company here, and you provided a video for your company, and then I want to share some other pictures that you have. For those who have questions and comments in the chat, just keep hitting us. I will flash them up. We got some questions in the chat actually. And I really want to get to those questions because they certainly take
Okay.
precedence over anything that I would ask. Um, Miss Jam said, "No, don't go. This is so good." All right.
Thank you, Miss Jams.
All right. So we got a question for Anthony. He said, "Troy, how can we have African Americans invest in Kenya? We have
Ah,
we have great opportunities." I agree with
mhm.
that, Anthony. So yeah, we started
So
that off at the beginning of the show. So how can we? We did not go in any detail there. The audience is
right.
always good.
So I'm actually, I think I had mentioned this before. I'm a big Jesus and God person, and I think one of the reasons why I'm here is to help because I've got great relationships in the states, and I've been blessed to have great relationships here. Is to help build a bridge in between here and in the states with African Americans. And my personal belief is African Americans, we will never be what we are supposed to be. We will never have the power that we're supposed to freaking have until we build a bridge back to this continent. Doesn't have to be Kenya. I'm just in favor of Kenya, but just building a bridge to this continent. I personally believe that this continent will not reach the greatness where it's supposed to be until it reaches to Africans of the diaspora around the world to come back um, to help make this place just where it should be. The leader amongst all continents, in the world. And until that happens, until we build those bridges, we're going to still have problems in the States. We're going to still have problems here on this continent. It's almost like a dog chasing its tail. We're just going to be chasing our tail all the time, and not building anything. And now I think it's time to build.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh, so I'm creating. See, I said a lot of stuff, but this past December I was supposed to have this huge event, but due to COVID, I had to exit. But next year, in between Christmas and a little after New Year's, myself and one of my partners at Mwimbi, the restaurant I was telling you about, are going to put together a nice big fashion and music festival in Malindi, which is on the coast, one of the best beaches in the world, and put together packages for African Americans to come. We'll party on the beach every day at nighttime, do some clubbing in restaurants, and then spend a couple days at the coast partying, and then come to Nairobi and have some seminars and things of that nature and tours and give people an opportunity to see like, wow, my business, I own 10 barbershops in the States. I want to add a different barbershop twist here in Nairobi and open up a couple of barbershops here, or whatever you're doing. There's opportunities for everyone, and I just want to show that there's lots of opportunities for people here.
Excellent. Hey, Miss Jams had a question for me, Troy. What's going to be presented next week? What's going to be presented next week is AMD versus Nvidia. That's what we're going to do next week. So
Nice.
thanks for that question. And Simon Couture, question for Troy. For those with a small portfolio, how can you grow it over time through options? We'll cover that next week, Simon, in AMD versus Nvidia. And so some of those who want to do the option game and multiply their money, well, you can get in the option game, but the option game carries more risk. So you will have to decide if that's what you want to do. But certainly, we'll share some strategy next week on AMD versus NVIDIA. All right. Another question here. Got that question. And I think those were the questions there that I have. We're running up on a little time here, so we probably should start wrapping it up in a little bit. I do have a few things here, Troy. One is you have your own company, and we were about to talk about your own company, and you're doing this whole anime type situation here. You want to talk about that?
So I met up with, when we were talking about Kenyans in tech, like they lead the continent in tech, and one of the leaders in the world when it comes to tech. So we've ran into a Kenyan brother that has he developed a game. Him and a couple of his partners developed a game called Nairobi X, and this was like 7 years ago, where it was Africa's first person shooter game for consoles and for computers. And he won all kinds of awards for this. Mind you, he did this with subpar equipment. So we created a company together called Kifaru, where we create mobile games in animation. So I sent you a video of some of his graphics. I can't wait for people to check that out, because they're gonna be like, wow, this brother did that. But through my old school relationships in the States in the music business, I was able to create a relationship with Rock Nation, and we did Jay Parks, who's the largest Asian rapper in the world. We did a game for him last year. It was a mobile dance game. So I was like, you know what? We need to come up with another game where we take African artists. So we're working on this now. It's called Afro Vendetta. So imagine like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, and it's a mobile game, but you're only using African artists in it. And so you get to have Blinky Bill fight against Davido or WizKid or whatever have you. So we're in the process of working on that game right now. And I personally believe it could end up being, like the biggest freaking mobile game that's out there internationally. And I want to prove that you can have African developers, have African artists, and because some of the investors that we've talked to, they were like, oh, well, maybe if you could put some American artists in it and maybe a couple artists from London. And I was like,
Nah.
I am sure we can do an African game with African artists and it'd be a global hit. And I want to prove that can be done, that you don't have to Americanize it. You don't have to Europeanize it. You don't have to do any of that to make it hot.
Let me try to play it. I'm not sure the audio is going to come through, but let's see.
This is just some of the graphics.
Yeah, the audience can at least see the graphics of what you're talking about. So I'm going to try to play this now. Let me go for it. Let's see. Let's play. Oh, it's the audio is coming through, so.
So that's just like a snippet of like our production team and what they can do. And
Oh,
eventually we want to literally turn this into kind of like a African Marvel Universe type of thing, where we do like a series and all that kind of stuff, because those things are needed. Um, and you know, China and they've totally taken over that anime thing, and we've got our own stories to tell. Like and I always say like Black Panther kind of proved all that. Like you didn't need to water it down. You didn't need to have like a white person as a main character or a sidekick, or you didn't have to make Africa look like it was, crappy. Everything was high end and sexy and intelligent, and it was black on black on black, which was beautiful, and it did extremely well. So people want to see that. I think people are tired of seeing all the negative stereotypes. Now it's time for us to show, our history, and for us to tell our history, not let anybody else tell it.
yeah, that was dope. All African. I love that. That is really really impressive. Very impressive. Hey, let's go over to some of the pictures you provided before we wrap it up. So let's go through some of the pictures here. Unmute us. And what do we have here, my friend?
Those are some of the fashion events. Like I do a lot of fashion work with a lot of designers here, and we had talked about that earlier. So those are just some of the
I gotta
fashion
get those
things.
shoes, dog. I gotta get them shoes.
Ah,
Gotta get those
bro,
dogs,
those shoes,
dog.
those sandals were $25.
Oh, I don't want to get too close on the toes.
Oh, the toes are always right.
You sure?
My
You
papa
sure? I
always
might
told
have
me
to hit the hell no sound
a,
effect. You
a
sure? You
man
good?
a man should always take care of his toes and his hands. My
Yeah.
pop taught me
All
that.
right. All right. So nice little
You'll
photo
never
shoot
catch me with no toes looking like this.
and more from the photo shoot. It appears
Mhm.
it's nice over in Kenya. You
Yeah,
provided these.
Melvin Chuma, the guy that I told you that NC Nairobi, he made those pants.
These pants right here.
Yeah, yeah, he
Those
made those
pants are
pants right
fly.
there.
Look at the shoes. Oh man. Okay. Okay. Yeah, the toes are on point.
Yeah, toes are always on point.
I wouldn't show my toes on camera. I'll tell you that. If you saw my toes, it'd be like
Ah!
crusty. We're gonna lose half our audience on that comment. Um, here's your lovely family.
Oh my gosh, those are my two children. My daughter just got accepted to Loyola Marymount. She'll be going there in August. So Aza, I love you, baby. Way to rock and roll. And she's going to kick butt in LA. And my son is at the illustrious Mecca, Howard University. He's a sophomore at Howard.
I'm gonna leave
So
that
those are
alone.
my two.
I'm not
Those are
gonna
my
do the
two
Tuskegee
babies.
shout, but go ahead.
And the beautiful thing about them is that they've gotten a chance they grew up in New York and Harlem. They got a chance to do 3 years in Nairobi, and then they did 3 years in London. Um, so they've gone to school literally in New York, Nairobi, and London.
Oh, that's dope. All right.
Yeah.
Who is this lovely lady here?
That's my mama.
Boy, you look
Janie.
dog. You
Love
look
her.
so much like your mother. Good
Oh my gosh,
gracious.
bro. We're twins. Like, and when we go out, my mom is damn near 70, she's 75 years old. And when we go out, people think she's either my girlfriend or my sister. No one ever believes that she's my mama.
Oh yeah, she looks young. Who is
And
this?
at 75, my mama can still catch.
Oh, nice, nice.
That's my favorite artist. His name is Blinky Bill. One of the most, and I mentioned I've worked with Michael Jackson and done stuff for Jay-Z and Kanye and just a gang of freaking artists in my lifetime. This cat right here is one of the most creative artists I've ever been with in my entire life. And Kenya's got a ton, like a ton of gems that make unbelievable music. But that's Blinky Bill at one of my Groovy First Thursday events that I had where he performed. This right here, when I first came to Nairobi, I started a foundation and it's called FAM, where myself and the brother right there in the white t-shirt, his name is Chester. He's one of my coaches. We created this program along with Kevin Ashley, a good American friend of mine, and another American friend named Ron and Queth. We all started this program called FAM, short for family. And we go into the slums and we teach kids how to play basketball and get them really good, and then get them into private schools in Kenya. And then we've got close to 70 kids off the streets in the past 7 years into private schools. And then we've got 6 kids into the States in high school playing basketball at private schools, and 1 college graduate.
Wow. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
Thanks for providing those pictures. I'm going to go back to the chat before we wrap her up, meaning the show. Miss Jams says you're looking good. Mr. Barrington said travel is the best education.
Yes,
So,
sir. UBHU.
yeah, man. And if you guys have any additional questions, hit me. Hey, Troy, what is the best way to get in touch with you, my friend?
So IG would probably be the best in my DM. You could hit me on Instagram at Troy TROY underscore Philly PHILLY underscore White WHITE. So
Uh,
that's Troy underscore Philly underscore White.
all right. Great, great, great. Any closing remarks, anything you would like to cover that we may not have covered?
Um, nah, other than if anyone is slightly thinking like, I'm going to Greece next year, but I haven't paid for it yet. But I want to come to Africa, but I don't know anything about it. Nairobi is the place to come to, hands
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Nairobi is the place to come to. It's from the people to the weather to the opportunities to the easy landing, um, to everything works. Uh, to you can have the best food, the best restaurants, the best hotels, everything. It's the very high end, sexy city. And we never talked about the security. Security here is very, very good. I walk the streets. I don't need a security guard with me. In a lot of places on this continent, you need security. Um, Nairobi, you don't need security. It's a great yes. That's my IG. Thank you, Miss Jams.
My moderator.
Um,
My
but
moderator is on top of
yeah,
it.
you need to pay Miss Jams. She's been on it all night. But yeah, security. We worry as black folks. We know how to carry ourselves, so we're never walking down any. Not to say that anything like shit. I got my phone stolen once, but that was me being dumb. It wasn't Kenya and oh, it's a really bad place. No, it's a great place. It's a very safe place. You just need to keep your black hood sense up, and you gonna be good. You'll be all right. You're not gonna be walking the streets like with your wallet hanging out and just your bag open, and because we know how to walk the streets, so you're not gonna have any problems. And people they don't really target African Americans here, like in a negative way or anything like that.
Yeah, do
They
they
dig
show
Africa.
us love? Do they show us love over there?
That was something that you and I talked on the side about. I was like, I hate when people bring up that, oh, well, Africans don't like us. I personally believe that's some bullshit. Excuse my language. I've traveled, like I said, to 8 to 10 countries on this continent. I've never had anyone give me any type of negative vibes or anything like that. Like no one. I think that's literally, you know, people fanning flames. Of course, they're African Americans that think negative things about Africans, and there's Africans that think negative things about African Americans. That's just natural shit. But that's probably like 2% of the population on both sides. So let's just deal with the positiveness. Let's deal with my word love. Let's deal with the grooviness of the people on both sides and, make it happen. Like, don't even worry about, oh, I heard Africans don't like us and all that. It's a crock of crap. I've been here for 7.5 years, and I'm sure there's somebody or a couple people that I've ran into that were like, I don't particularly like Troy. God bless them. That's cool. That's going to be anywhere, not just in Kenya, but that could happen in freaking Atlanta, where I run into some people and they might not like me. So that's going to happen anywhere. So I don't think there's any type of beef, in between Africans and African Americans. And I think it's a crock of crap. And I think others are fanning the flame, so it keeps us separate.
Yeah, look, let me tell you something, and I'm going to say this on camera. I'm coming there. Based on this
Bro, you
interview,
got to.
I'm going to come there, and you better answer your phone and your WhatsApp because I'm going to hit you. I'm coming there, and any of my followers here on YouTube, you better hit them back. And I'm saying that. I'm saying that in jest because I can't make you do anything, but great, great information and content. Just incredible. So I really appreciate having you on the show today. It's just been an honor to have you. I'm going to wrap it up now. This has been the Bet Out of Debt Show. We call it the Bet Out of Debt Show because when you place a trade, it's called placing a bet, which is a metaphor for investing. And hopefully it's a winning one to keep you out of debt. We're here every Sunday, 8:15 a.m. Pacific time live. And in the Bet Out of Debt Show, not only do we invest in the market, but we invest in relationships and health and all of those good things. So I hope you enjoyed this show as much as I did. Hit the like button for the algorithm if you found this show informative. And see us next week when we talk AMD and NVIDIA. Take care and have a good one.